So if your engine's ever leaking oil at the front, on the front of the harmonic balancer, more than likely it'd be this. So it's a crankcase seal, and sometimes that leaks. I'd like to show you a little trick that I do when I remove the head bolts. So what I do is I use an empty box, you use a cardboard, and you just basically put back in place exactly where the bolts came from, so that when you're putting the engine back together, you know that those bolts are going back in the exact spots that they've been in. It's a good habit to get into. Now what I'm looking for is the drain plug on the engine block, because I don't want to be flipping this engine upside down, removing the oil pan and pissing all over the place, right? We'll get into dismantling the head completely later on. All right, that was pretty easy. I want to make sure she's sturdy. All right. See, on the old engines, you would normally find a drain plug on the side of the engine. You can tilt the engine sideways and drain the coolant out. Doesn't seem to be the case with these engines here. And I don't see one anywhere. Although, if you disconnect this turbo at the back here, based on what I've seen, I could probably remove that in the back. So we're back here, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to drain the engine, making sure there's no more coolant in there, because once I tilt it back upside down, I don't want it to drain on me. So I got a drop pan obviously under me here. I'm not draining this stuff on the floor. And there doesn't appear to be any coolant left. Nothing came out of the drain plug, so I'm going to make sure there's no oil left in the engine. Alright, she looks empty, but this time I'm going to tilt her, make sure she is. There we go. Alright. As you can see, if there is any, it's very minimal, so I feel comfortable enough to try and tilt this motor back. So she passes the test. She appears to be empty. So on to the next step, which is the harmonic balancer. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to jam a screwdriver in there so that the harmonic balancer will move when I'm trying to loosen it up. Okay. There we go, check that out. Stops it right there on the spot. That's good. There. Bolt's gonna come out. So basically what I'm doing is I'm removing the timing cover so that I can get the chain off properly. As you recall, the chain was taken apart to take the head off in the van, and so now I just want to make sure that all the parts are out properly, and so that we can, when we're ready to put it back together, that things will go smoothly. Okay, so most of the time you'll need a harmonic balancer puller to take the harmonic balancer off. So it's a harmonic balancer puller, and most of the time you could probably rent these tools. For myself, seeing as though we might be doing this more often than not, I decided to buy the tool. So get our harmonic balancer puller off, and you won't have a hard time taking that off. So. But in this case, for some reason, she just comes out. So maybe they've made them easier to put on and take off, or maybe this was already removed. So whatever the case, we got it pulled out. Now let's take this cover off. For myself, I do everything in sequence if I can. It's good practice. I'm going to place them on the floor in sequence as I take them off, and then later on I'm going to get a piece of cardboard. I'm going to punch the cardboard and I'm going to place them in there. In theory, the cover should be ready to come off. So, there she is. So in the back here, there's a place where you can pry. So that's specifically there for reasons, so you don't have to try and damage the cover while prying. See right here, there's another one. So. There you go. Gasket stuck to it. You want to peel it off, so if you peel it off properly, you won't have to worry about scraping any of that stuff off later on. You know, it's less work, right? There you got the covers off. That's what it looks like on the inside. So I'm not looking to make more work for myself. I had to take this off anyways. So I'm going to leave the timing chain there for now until I'm ready to put the engine back together. Now that that's out, I can spin the engine around and I can start dismantling the oil pan to see what's going on inside. So lucky for me, I got another Mr. Freeze box. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch the holes in similar fashion as to how they came out, so that when I'm putting them back on, I know exactly how it's going to go. So I've already poked the holes in it, and it's going to look like this. That's all there is to it. You do that when you're putting it back together, shouldn't have any problems.